Sinai el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim va'aretz Al yitain lamot raglecha Al yanun shomrecha Hinei lo yanum velo yishan shomei Yisrael Adonai shomrecha Adonai tzilka al yad yeminecha Yomam hashemesh lo yakecha Ve'yareach balayla Adonai yishmorecha mikol ra Yishmor et nafshecha Adonai yishmor et tzeitecha Uvoecha Me'ata Me'ata ve'ad olam. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm, and God will guard your soul. You're going and coming now and forever.
So basically, the tradition of these ribbons dates all the way back to the Torah. It dates back really to Abraham. Abraham heard of Sarah's death. His first reaction was to his book. And so it's been that tradition. Basically, they are a sign of integrity of heart. So much a sign for you because you know you've got that tear. They're more a sign, outward sign to those who might encounter you along the way who don't know of your loss. And they can instantly recognize that you've experienced this loss. As far as how long you wear them, it's really, traditionally it's the first 30 days. But when you forget to put it on or choose not to put it on, then you wore it long enough. Okay? That's the way I would approach it. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to say a blessing, and then at the completion of the blessing, we'll make a tear in it. And these tear from the bottom. So you tear them with opposition of strength. Okay? So repeat after me, Baruch. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam dayan ha'emet. Praise be God, the ruler of the universe, the judge of truth. The ruler of the universe, the judge of truth. There is Excuse me? Is he getting a replacement? Yes. She's getting. So once we finish, we'll go into the service. We'll go through the memorial prayer, which will be after the eulogy and after a little bit of music. And then we will move to the burial.
We are going to begin the funeral service, Mrs. Gloria Levin. If you have a cell phone, I'd ask you kindly to place it in the silent mode at this time or turn it completely off. I'd also like to welcome everyone via live stream on behalf of the family for being very supportive of them on this day. Services will be conducted by Cantor David Goldstein of North Shore Congregation Israel in Glencoe.
Thank you. You can be seated. Death has taken our beloved Gloria. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there is lamentation. In their tears, there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends and loving family. Hear them, O God, be with them. For Gloria's love that united us in life, and which death cannot sever, for her companionship that we shared along life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory, for the gifts of her heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness, and is now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our scriptures that brings us ever new messages of God's nearness. They tell us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach ba'atzat resha'im, v'derech hatayim lo amad. Happy are those who have not followed the counsel of the wicked, or taken the path of sinners, or joined the company of the insolent. Rather, the teaching of God is their delight, and they study that teaching day and night. They are like a tree planted beside streams of water that yields its fruit in season, whose foliage never fades, and whose fruit always flourishes. Poem by Merritt Malloy. When I die, remember me with a smile and laughter. If thoughts of me provoke no love, only sadness and tears, I ask that I soon be forgotten. Give what's left of me away to children and old men who wait to die. And if you must cry, cry for your brother who walks in grief beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved or helped in some special way. And if you cannot give me away, let me live in your eyes for a while, as well as your mind. You can love me most by letting love live. Within the circle of your arms, embracing the frightened ones. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Adonai roi lo echsar, binodesh yarbitzeni, al menuchot nahaleini, nafshi eshovev, yanecheni b'maglet tzedek lema'an shmo. גם כי אלך בקצל מוות לא ירא, כי אתה עמדי, שבתך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דישנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. Please join me in the translation of these words just chanted in the words of the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. לכל זמן ועת לכל חפץ תחת השמיים, עת ללדת ועת למות, עת לטעת ועת לעקור נטוע, עת לפרוץ ועת לבנות, עת לבכות ועת לשחוק. For everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted. A time to tear down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to grieve and a time to dance. A time to throw stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to discard. A time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. In Ecclesiastes, another section of it, other than what we just read, which was chapter 3, the beginning. In chapter 7, verse 1, we read the following: A good name is better than fragrant oil, and the day of one's death is better than the day of one's birth. Now, the second half of this verse caused some difficulty for our sages, and there's a commentary focused on trying to explain what that might mean. And it goes like this. It describes a scene, and the scene is a crowd of people standing on the dock as ships are leaving and entering port. And one noticed that the ships leaving port received little response, but those entering port arrived with much cheering and animation. And the person making this observation asked members of the cheering assembly why this ship entering port received such a big response, and the one leaving port such a small response. The person answered, "We have no idea the fate of the journey of the ship that leaves the port. But the ship that returns, we know the nature of its voyage." So too in one's life. At birth, there is no way to know the nature of one's actions, the paths one might take. But on the day of one's death, we have a full understanding of the nature of one's deeds and the journey they have taken. No doubt, those who knew and loved Gloria have a full picture of a life well lived and graciously shared. In 1938, Pearl S. Buck became the first American woman to be awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. Gloria was also a trailblazer, but 1938 turned out to be a great year for Gloria for another reason. This was the year 14-year-old Gloria met the much older George, 17. They married about 6 years or so later and established a life together that yielded much and an impressive lineage. As Nancy described her to me, Gloria consistently demonstrated the ability to connect with those who were brought into her circle. Though Gloria was a beautiful and glamorous person, it seemed that once you met Gloria, you discovered there was much more to her than her outward beauty and style. You did not just like her, you loved her. Her focus seemed to be fully directed to those around her. Nowhere was this more evident than with her family. And to speak on behalf of her family, I call on her oldest grandson, Matthew, to continue with the chesped, the eulogy, in her memory.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today to celebrate the life of Gloria. Gloria was a woman of substance. She had a heart of gold and hair as red as a bed of roses. She was my grandmother, but I will refer to her as Gloria today, for her essence doesn't belong solely to me. Rather, it infuses all of us here together, celebrating her wonderful life. And that includes those folks who are tuned in and watching us virtually. I know that my mom really wanted to be here, and I have to give her a shout out and thank all those people who understand. During these tough times in COVID, we just could not accommodate everybody. And again, the family appreciates your understanding. When I was 3 years old, my mom would take me downtown Northbrook to my grandma's store, Divines, and we would watch her change the mannequins. It was magical, fascinating. The arms and legs, they came off. And each time I would feign shock, and Gloria, who was inside the window, would laugh, waving to me with her eyes wide, pantomiming, "I see you," her signature red hair seemingly omnipresent. The origin of the red hair is a family secret. Some folks tell a story about Rita Hayworth inspiring Gloria during a top-secret shopping excursion to Divines. Others, they believe in a secret league of red-headed superwomen who are out to take over and conquer Pat Sajak and the Wheel of Fortune. And that's because this is America, where folks believe a lot of crazy things. We got a lot of crazy stuff going on. The truth is, Gloria's red hair was a symbol of her independence, her individuality, her strong will. It was good. It was true. It was synonymous with who she was. And it was hard work, that hair. She didn't just roll out of bed with perfect coiffure. Friends and family alike learned, if they didn't already know, you didn't schedule a tennis match, a brunch gathering, or a visit from out of town during beauty parlor times. My Aunt Nancy learned that once, and when Gloria sent her right back to Dallas City and said, "Thank you, come back tomorrow. Today is beauty parlor day." Gloria's stubbornness was rooted in her determination to succeed. A precocious child, she was a brilliant student who graduated high school early, yet didn't have the opportunity to attend college. Many decades later, in 1995, she told me that was really her biggest regret in life. Although she was part of what they now call the greatest generation, that wasn't always the case. That term didn't always apply if you were gay, black, brown, or female. Women were discouraged from attending college, law school, or entering the workforce. But Gloria didn't let that impede her trailblazing determination. As I mentioned in her obituary, she opened Divine Sportswear in 1959 at a time when women were an unwelcome anomaly in the marketplace. To say that she successfully balanced family and business is an understatement. She excelled in both, raising 3 loving children right here while building her store from the basement Endeavor to the heart of downtown Northbrook, where she thrived as a member of the City Council, Chamber of Commerce, and ORT. She was also a big supporter of the Northbrook Public Library. And I'm pretty sure those Divine's profits were used to send her kids to college. Dad, do you have your fact checker handy? I think that's accurate. That is accurate. She was steadfast in her work, in her dedication to family, in her friendships. She and my grandfather, George, spent their entire lives in a nucleus of friends that dated back to the old Jewish neighborhood on Chicago's North Side. These friendships predated World War II, Cher Bono, and unfortunately for my Uncle Bruce, the use of Novocaine in dental drilling practices. Gloria's friends were so very kind to me. They were colorful. They were larger than life. For a long time growing up, I actually thought George Levin Day was a holiday because the Silverbergs used to have the family over to share their swimming pool in honor of our grandfather, or our uncle, our dad. I loved their friends, and Gloria was also a major participant in my social life. My friends knew and loved her. She socialized with them. She attended their weddings. My Democratic colleagues in the Senate knew her. Many of them are watching this service right now. And one of the greatest meetings of my life, I picked Graham up at the airport in Detroit Metro and brought her out to Huntington Woods so she could meet my then boss, Senator Gilda Jacobs, who's still a good friend of mine. They were just like 2 peas in the pod. It was wonderful. Gloria and George attended all of my big birthday celebrations as a kid. In fact, I have a bumper sticker on my car that says, "Ask me about my 3rd birthday." And actually, you can ask my dad about that later if you really want to. But Gloria also came to many events I hosted as an adult, from Wiffle Fest to hard liquor concerts to the cocktail parties I threw in Chicago, where she inspired my friend Chris Fry to cast aside his Gentile ways and join the tribe. He was thrilled to become the new Jew. Unfortunately, that pledge only lasted till his next sobriety. Gloria was held in high esteem by those she touched. More than anything, she loved this family. It was her primary inspiration. She loved all of you. She loved sports. She loved dogs. She loved Michael Dukakis. And she passed all those interests on to all of us, especially Michael Dukakis, whose cousin Olympia was an Oscar award-winning actress and shopped the same brands as Grandma did, if you haven't noticed that. Gloria was the ultimate hostess. The Levin home, flushed with home-cooked food and overflowing with spirits, was a favorite gathering place for family and friends, and Gloria relished every minute of it. Bear with me, I had a page disappear here. Here it is. Her door was open to all. She cast a big tent as inclusion and generosity were paramount values. Make no doubt about it, she was a fantastic cook, but as she got older, she cut corners. There was that infamous stubborn streak. Let me explain. During the last several years of hosting the family holiday parties, Gloria strained to cook all the food. She was in her 80s, and the work was tough, and it started to get burdensome. In the meantime, I developed an interest and acumen for cooking. So I'd beg her, let me help. Let me take some of the work off your shoulders. Let me take a day off work and come over and help you cook everything. She said, no, I can handle it. She developed a system, which we called the Schartz-Metterklume method. To alleviate burdens, she would cook everything in advance at different times over a span of intermittent days. Over 1 year, the prep was done a couple days ahead of time. Then the following year, food was prepped a couple weeks ahead of time and items had to be put in the freezer. Before long, it was prepped months in advance and there was freezer burn on some of the food. The cousins, they started to catch on. At one particular family get-together, I was sitting next to cousin Warren in the living room at the big table. And upon taking a bite of his crusted freezer-burned lasagna, Warren looked at me with a grimace and said, "Geez, it tastes like this was frozen for weeks." I corrected him immediately. I said, "Months, Warren. It's been frozen for months." Before I wrap up, I'd just like to share a few random Gloria-isms with you. Is so much of life is just showing up and doing the right thing and being there for people. Gloria and George always did that, and then some. They were punctual, and not just punctual, but often early. They were always the first to show up, and I loved that. That's what we call attorney time. Meeting at 1 o'clock, you show up at 12:55. It's that simple. George and Gloria never missed an event. They were never late. They never had excuses, late fees, missing library books, unwound VCR tapes. In fact, those return slots they have at libraries and the old video stores, those were designed for Gloria's early returns. Nancy actually worked with the engineer. His name was Carl Hines or Mitzi or something like that. Also, there's the clicker. The older grandkids are going to remember this. Gloria and George were the first people in the family to have a remote-controlled TV. Indeed, that was an unusual amenity back then, only available to Rolled Steel's top salesmen. First sales prize, a trip to Spain. Second prize, state-of-the-art remote control. By the way, third prize was you're fired. Anyway, this mechanism, this remote control, was something else. It clicked like Joe Theismann jogging. Loud, cracking bang snaps, this thing. And even with all that ruckus, it wouldn't always work. Sometimes it would move the channel. It's hard to lick your fingers and move pages with the mask on. Sometimes it wouldn't. The channels were in a loop. You know, you didn't like enter in numbers. It just goes click, 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 click. You had to point it at the set on an angle, shake it, coach it, pray to it. And poor George, he could never operate it to Gloria's satisfaction. Where's my sister? Am I right? Okay. He'd click and the channel wouldn't move. And it usually would get stuck on the Spanish station. And Gloria would quickly lose her patience. "George, what are you doing?" And then he'd click again and again, and it would go fly past the station she wanted. I firmly believe that her experience with that remote led Gloria to later shun other state-of-the-art technology like the microwave science oven and the door buzzer function for incoming guests at Crestwood. Second, there's Philadelphia cream cheese and McCormick vanilla extract. Gloria always kept them in their respective boxes after opening and using them. She put them back in the box, put it back in the shelf, back in the fridge. I do too, just because she did. It stuck with me. And then there's animal crackers, which Gloria always had waiting for me at her store. And chocolate sodas, which she introduced to me in 1983 after watching a particular Twilight Zone episode called Walking Distance. And those long, fun-filled days at the Highland Park Country Club, where Gloria and George would play tennis, ask me sometime about the Calcutta doubles scandal of 1988. They would mingle with their friends over lunch and take the grandkids swimming. And you have to ask yourself, just how many times did Josh and Sean pee in that pool? I can tell you honestly, I was much older in my teen years by that time, so I only did it a handful of times. I tried to infuse this speech with humor because I know Gloria would enjoy that. Wherever she was, Gloria loved to share a laugh, and hers, mellifluously striking and sudden, was contagious. She had the rare ability to light up a room with zany, heartfelt humor. For those of you who know that laugh of hers, I want you to sit back, close your eyes. It's Hanukkah at Gloria and George's condo at 2382 Alcid Lane. The younger cousins are playing in the guest room. The older cousins and uncles are watching football in the family room while the sisters, Gloria, Jeanette, and Sylvia, mingle in the kitchen. Someone cracks wise, and there it is, Gloria's laugh. You can't forget it, so take that with you today. Carry it with you. As for me, I think about those Thursday night dinners she and I shared at Tonelli's over the years and years and years. Those were memorable, nostalgic moments in time, particularly that ephemeral moment of conversation between us during those second and third drinks right before our food would arrive. It is there in those moments where I find myself home. For those of you who believe in heaven, and there it is somewhere up there, right between there and there. Anyway, my point is, in case you're wondering what happens next, yes, Gloria will indeed be united with George and all of our dearly departed family members. In fact, they're having a big, loving, welcoming dinner party for her. But not before she has an opportunity to visit the beauty parlor. But don't worry, the appetizers are out and plentiful, and the drink is flowing. And that lasagna entry, it's been ready for years. Thank you, everybody. I love all of you.
Thank you, Matthew. Now, you are all left to build upon the life of your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your aunt, that life that she helped to build. The gift of demonstrating love, sharing laughter, sharing love between each other. When she saw you do that, it gave her such nachas. Her memory becomes a blessing when you blaze new paths, when you focus on family, when you share loving embraces with one another, when you remember her laughter, and when you, remembering her example, reach beyond yourselves to serve the community. May you all be a part of the building an enduring memory and legacy of Gloria. May Gloria's memory bring a blessing to those who knew her, were close to her, and who loved her. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. Yesterday, when I was speaking to Nancy, she was talking about Gloria's regular attendance at Shabbat services where she was living, and we were talking about music, and a piece of music came to her mind that she wanted to hear today. The power of music is hard to describe, but suffice to say, when you hear the melody, it transports you. It transports you to a different place, a different time, a different sensibility. And this piece of music, I trust, will do that for a number of reasons. Perhaps it's because Barbra Streisand made it famous, though Jews around the world knew it long before Barbra Streisand ever began to sing it. Perhaps it's because we hear it most frequently on the holy days. But whatever the reason, this piece of music is something that does transport, does allow you to get lost in memory. So as we finish the chesped, the eulogy, and this section of the memorial service, take a moment to listen to these words, to this music. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Koleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha, Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu, Ve'al Aleinu, V'tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Dever, V'cherev Ra'av, Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kol Tzar, Mastin, Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kotveinu Besefer Chaim Tovim, Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, אבינו מלכנו, חדש עלינו שנה טובה. אבינו מלכנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו. Stand for the memorial prayer. Please rise for the memorial prayer. El male rachamim, shochein b'amromim, ametzei menukanekona, ametzei menukanekona, tachat kanfei השכינה אילים קדושים טהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת את נשמת גיטל בת גדליה ושרה שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה, בעל הרחמים יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Gloria Levin, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence. May her resting place be like that of the Garden of Eden, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Shiviti Adonai Lenegdi Tamid Ki Mimini Balemot Balemot Lachem Samach Libi Ve'agel Kevodi Af Besari Ishkon Lavet כי לא תעזוב נפשי לשאול, לא תיתן חסידך לראות שחת. תודיעני אור החיים, סובה שמחות פניך, לימוד במנחה נצח. Please join me in the mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכם ובימיכם ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגולה בזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם עולמי עמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, אמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen. So they're going to now place
Friends, the cemetery gentlemen are going to place the cover on the vault right now, and after that, then we'll place some earth into the grave.
The dust returns to the earth as it was, the spirit returns to God who gave it. It is only the house of the spirit which we now lay within the earth. The spirit itself cannot die. Receive in mercy, O God, the soul of our departed Gloria. Grant her that everlasting peace which you have prepared for us in the world to come. Though no human eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor mind has grasped it, still it is our sure inheritance and our everlasting portion. O God, help us to understand that grief and love go hand in hand, that the pain which loss inflicts is the measure of a love stronger than death. Though we cry in the anguish of our hearts, may we be like children who know that their parent is near and who cling unafraid to the trusted hand. In this spirit, O God, do we commit all that is precious to us to your keeping, as we repeat words hallowed by the generations. Lech ki shelachacha Adonai, lech v'Adonai yihi imach, v'halach lefanecha tzidkecha, kevod Adonai aspecha. Go your way, for God has called you. Go your way, and may God be with you. May your righteousness go before you, and the glory of God receive you. So apparently they're not allowed to shop in this COVID thing is. Back when it was on Vernon, or yeah. So with Rabbi Siska. That's good. A lot of stories about Rabbi Siska. He was like bigger than life, apparently.
This does conclude the graveside service. We're going to stay for the completion of the burial. Everyone via live stream, again, thank you for attending. Thank you.